Well, complacency. I no longer feel like or believe that I can create this change. Now, some people will laugh at this visual here, but I think it's how a lot of people feel. Oh my God, I'm drowning in paperwork. What am I going to do? There was an interesting survey, speaking of spending a lot of times in meetings and emails and complexity, that also came out from BCG. And the survey said what was holding us back from innovation was this. There was a study of companies that over the past 15 years, they said the amount of procedures and layers and coordination and decisions that needed to happen increased between 50 and 350%. That is incredible. That's incredible. In fact, feel free to type into me in your questions box if you find that shocking or not shocking. I found that just incredible. What was even more surprising to me was, the more complicated the organizations were, the managers said they were spending 40% of their time writing reports. You can type into me anonymously if you feel that's you, and 30 to 60% of it just coordinating meetings. Right? Sound familiar? Now, the result of that is this. This is the quandary. This is the quandary right here. Those in middle management were finding that innovation actually was disruptive to their day-to-day. It was just getting in the way of running an efficient operation, but that's exactly what they were paid to do. Now, some of you are typing in some interesting comments here I want to share. Meetings and emails as a percent are not all that surprising. Some people said, it's shocking, but I'm not surprised at all. Another person here said, well, it's not surprising, but I just wish it wasn't that way. Well, I think a lot of people feel that way too. So what's the result of that? Does this feel like you sometimes? I'd be happy to give you innovative thinking. What are the guidelines? What should I do? Well, let's get into it. Let's stop talking about the problem. I want to start to diagnose the problem for everybody here and then give you some tools to break out of this complexity and break out of this complacency, because quite frankly, I don't think it's that hard to do. I just think how we've been going about it isn't right. The first thing I think when it comes to innovation is this. To be more innovative, innovation cannot be your starting point. I think first what you have to do is kill the things that aren't working to create the space for moving forward. The second thing is, if you want to approach change differently with people, you got to change your approach. I think right now a big C change program isn't what people want. There might be small things that they need to take on first to show that it's actually possible and can actually create change every day. So let me show you the 4 things around change and innovation that I want you to think about. If you're a manager or you're leading a team, be sure that with change or with innovation, it's not something that you can put on them, but it's actually something you want to create with them. It's not something that from a leadership perspective should be created from the top down, but should be from the middle out. From the middle out, I strongly believe that in organizations, managers and some of the middle to senior people are the ones that truly make innovation stick, because they're the ones that people look up to, and they're the ones that the top brass actually look at or look upon to be able to be the ones that activate the change. The third thing, and I think is one of the most important, is I want to stop having 12-step programs, and I want to give people toolkits that are simple and easy, that allow you to have guardrails around change, not handcuffs. And then finally, I want us to stop thinking about change as a big C, but something that starts small, change with a little c. And in fact, it's something I'm going to talk to you about, which is called little bigs. Okay, so we talked about a better approach to change is changing your approach. We go in a lot and we innovate with companies. And I'm going to start to give you our toolkit and diagnostic for how we go about that. And I'm going to start it with a story. Last year, one of the largest financial institutions here in the world, and happens to be in New York, came to us. And they basically, it's a good friend of mine that was leading up the HR efforts and innovation efforts there, and he said, you know what, our culture is terrible. Our culture is terrible. We have to change it. We've had several failed change programs, several stalled innovation programs. What do we do? And I said, well, you don't do what you've done. Let's come in and let's pick some instigators that are influential, that can actually help be mavericks for change. Let's give them a diagnostic and let's ask them some questions to see who should participate. And then let's get them together and really ignite change. And we actually ended up picking 12 people, senior to mid managers, and got them together to create a 12-step, not a 12-step, but a 12-week change program that we started on little day-by-day basis to show each of the participants' teams how change can actually happen. Now, the person standing here, this is Brian. He's the head of risk. He's a 60-year-old guy, and he was one of the people, one of the 12 chosen for this program. And when we all got them together on the first day, and I'll show you some of those pictures that are really fun, we got them in a room and we said, how do you guys feel about being selected for this program? And some of them said great, and some of them said, I'm not so sure. I'm not sure if I can be the one to actually create change. And we said, listen, how many of you feel like you are actually open to new ideas? And they all raised their hand. And we asked them all, how many of you feel like you actually could make a difference in terms of changing this organization? And most of them did raise their hand and say, I want to be a part of it. And we said, listen, let's stop talking. I want you all to get in a cab and go to Grand Central. So we did. And we all got in a cab at Grand Central, arrived. We went downstairs, for those of you that have been there before, down near the Oyster Bar, which is the lower level. And we picked 3 people. And we said, 3 of you stay down here with me, with Lisa Bodell. The rest of you go upstairs with the cameraman. And I want you to have a journal that we gave to each of them. And we stationed them around the clock, around the main area here in Grand Central that you see the picture of. And I want you to, when you see the 3 people that were held downstairs as they come up the stairs here and are going to be walking around the clock, I want you to journal how people react to them. Well, what they didn't know yet is the 3 people downstairs were about to pick out of a bag a wig. And when I opened up the bag, and each person, Brian being one of them here and the 2 others, they picked a wig out. Brian here got the bozo wig, which he was not thrilled about, and the other 2 women got some fantastically purple and green wigs. They each put them on, and they decided to go upstairs. Maddie went first, Jen went second, and then Brian went last. What was interesting, I was downstairs, and I was waiting for each of them to circle once around this Grand Central Rotunda here and come back down and tell me how people reacted to them wearing a wig. Well, Maddie came down, Jenny came down, and all of them had a blast. Yes, people looked at them. It was fun. Well, all of a sudden we realized we didn't know where Brian was. And I radioed up to my my cameraman and I said, where is he? And he started laughing. He said, he's going around the bend for the 3rd time. He won't stop. And actually right here you see this the woman in the skirt on the left-hand side. She actually stopped him and asked him where he got his wig. When Brian came downstairs, the interesting kind of summary from this experience was, he said, you know, being labeled as different, you think is going to be such a shocking and uncomfortable experience. And what I realized was, the more I went around the Grand Central Station, was nobody cared. People got used to it. Being different was about who I was, and it was actually something that was pretty cool. So we all came back actually to the company. And we started to talk about what were the behaviors that were going to signal change and what was really going to get people to be more innovative. And I want to give you that quiz right now. So if all of you don't mind, I'd love you to have a piece of paper and number it. We're going to give you 16 questions. And I'll walk you through each of these questions. And I want to see how many you can answer yes to. So with that, I'm going to start walking you through a few questions. And here we go. Number 1. People in my organization actively think about and push the boundaries of what's seemingly possible. They imagine how they can apply trends to their business and ensure we stay ahead. Question 2. All the employees here are comfortable asking provocative and unsettling questions to stretch an organization's thinking. Number 3. All the employees in our organization approach problems from different angles, and they apply best practices from offbeat sources to get a solution. By the way, if some of you are answering maybe to these, the answer is no. It has to be a clear yes or clear no. Number 4, our people can think on their feet, and when faced with unforeseen challenges, they can nimbly change direction. Number 5, our employees don't easily give up on their beliefs or their ideas when they encounter adversity or disbelief. They see them through. Number 6, our organization is constantly looking forward to the next 5 to 10 years, and we actively seek solutions of how to stay ahead. My team knows where to learn about innovation and trends. Number 8, we constantly seek to do things better than what's been done before. We push for improvement even when we know what we already have is leading or is successful. Here's the last ones, number 9. Competitors, probably less so in your industry, but other organizations or nonprofits or associations envy our ability to shape what we do, and we get unorthodox solutions for our customers. People in our organization are encouraged to take risks within boundaries, and they know what those boundaries are. Number 11, failure and smart risk-taking is celebrated in our organization and by our leadership. Efforts don't have to be successful to be recognized. Just a few more. Number 12, we have an active culture of dialogue between roles and departments and functions. 13, we understand that we do not have to have all the expertise we could ever need in-house, and we try and partner with people outside or across the company to develop new things. Number 14, we purposefully hire people with different backgrounds, and we strive to create project teams from different disciplines so we can get complete perspectives. Number 15, we look at what other organizations or industries are doing, even things that are unrelated to us. We want to learn and apply from them and apply them to our work. Final one, we provide training and we support people at all levels so they can have the knowledge and the tools to generate solutions. Now, I know that was a mouthful. 16 questions. I want you to add up your yeses and your nos. And get ready, I'm going to tell you what results you had of your 16 questions. Your 16 questions. Here it is. If you got 1 to 6 yeses, well, you're pretty much status quo. You're protective, you're probably cautious in your group or how you feel your organization is if you answered for all of NPCA. 7 to 12, you're a risk taker. You're optimistic. You're competitive. 12 to 16, that's the please send me your resume box. You're a change maker. You're a visionary. You're a market maker. You're somebody, or within the organization, you guys are striving to create change. Do me a favor now in that question box. Let me know what your number of yeses was that you gave to this quiz for the organization. And I'll shout back to everybody what you came up with. Okay, on average here it seems we've got 6s, 7s, 8s, pretty good. We have an 11, a few 11s. This is a few 3s, 4 to 5, 4 to 5. Okay, a couple more people, 7s, 11s. It seems like your average here is in the 5, 6, 7 area with a few 11s that have come in. What's interesting is, now I want you to answer this a different way. What do you think, and we've done this with thousands of people around the world in for-profit and non-profit organizations, what do you think the average is that most people get? What do you think the average is? Type that in for me now too, and let's see how that compares. We've got a 6, a 7, a 2, a couple 2s, 3s, 5s. 5s and 6s. For the people that are typing in 5s and 6s, that's correct. Most of the people are in the high end of the status quo, often low end of risk taker. I think that's common because when you think of the overall organization, it's hard to be different. People feel held back versus individually they might even be more innovative if they were on their own. Well, so who cares? What did this all mean? Let me tell you now the skills and behaviors, your skills and behaviors actually, that were behind each of those questions. So I'm going to go right here. Let me see how you answered some of these questions. Number 1 was about strategic imagination. So if you answered yes to that, that's a skill you have. No, that's one you feel you don't have, for example. Next to number 2, that was provocative inquiry. Provocative inquiry. Number 3, that was creative problem solving. Number 4, that was agility. Agility. Number 5, resilience. Number 6, you're future focused. You're very future focused, forward looking. Number 7, again, future focused. Number 8 was about challenging the status quo. Challenging the status quo. Number 9, again, challenging the status quo. Number 10 was about investing in smart risks. Investing in smart risks. Number 11, smart risks. And number 12, and number 13, and number 14, those are all active collaboration. 12, 13, 14, active collaboration. Number 15, continuous learning. And number 16, continuous learning. Now, do me a favor one more time. Type in for me